another project of the politicians here, the past mayor and the present mayor, Daniel Laurie, is this so-called new park. And we have Albert Chow, who is with us tonight, who is a community activist and also Great Wall Hardware. And he's been a spokesperson. And I think that there's been a campaign by the corporate media in San Francisco to go after the people from the community who want the community really to be in charge of what happens in their community. So welcome.
Steve was so kind to introduce me. I am the owner of Great Wall Hardware, so I have a little tiny hardware store over on Terraville on 28th Avenue. And unfortunately, last year, someone arsoned my building. So now that I have all this free time, I get to be a political activist. So anyway, the reason why I got into that fight was because our supervisor, not yours, our supervisor, District 4, Joel Elgardio, had promised on his campaign when he was running against Gordon Marr that he would keep the status quo, which was that the Great Highway be closed on the weekends and open to traffic on the weekdays. And I thought that was a very fair compromise, considering we were coming out of the pandemic. But we realized what a treasure the Great Highway was as a park, so you could use it to walk, ride your bike, take your kids out, teach them how to ride their bikes. It was a wonderful scene. But at the same time, there was the absolute need of people having to go to work. This is a very expensive city, and people need to get to where they go. And at the time, there were 17,000 cars on average using that road every day, Monday through Friday. So our supervisor clandestinely planned this closure with, I think you mentioned Lucas Lux. He was, yes. He was one of the people that was actually at these closed door meetings. There was another guy named Todd David. I can't.
Todd David is with the developers, right?
Yes, he's had numerous interests in closing roads and creating, kind of laying the groundwork for development. So what I had also found out is that if you close the Great Highway and turn it into a park, now you reduce the barrier to developing the 48th Avenue Great Highway in La Playa, because now you don't have to have a certain requirement, a CEQA requirement, when you don't have a road in front of you. So this was kind of a way to lay the groundwork for creating an amenity for someone that's going to build full market rate housing at the beach for people that are not you and me. I mean, I own a business, but believe me, I'm not rich. I work hard every day. And I've got 2 kids in school, and so it's, I feel like I've been there for 50 years in the Sunset, and I'm born and raised here. Why am I not having a voice? So going back to the clandestine effort by Joel Engardio, he met with less than 10 people to formulate this ballot measure. And the thing that really got me angry was that I, as a community leader, and I'm the president of Merchants Association on Terraville. Sorry, backtracking a little bit. Called POPS, People of Parkside Sunset. There's also a Irving Street Merchants Association, a Beachside Merchants Association, and there's numerous community associations throughout the Sunset. We met quarterly, it was called One Sunset meetings. And we would meet in a coffee shop, at a restaurant, or in Joel's office, and we would talk about what's going on in the city or what's going on in our district, events, security, safety issues, schools, litter, what have you. And we would always bring up everything, and everybody knew what was going on in our district and how to, use our resources to create a beautiful place. The closure of Great Highway was never mentioned through the 3 quarters before he introduced it. And then he introduced the ballot measure on the last day to the Board of Elections. So we were on the back foot. We had no time to respond. And so a lot of us really talked to him, begged him, pleaded with him, cried in front of him. Literally, I had other people just literally in tears because they said, I support you because you said you would keep the status quo. And he was just completely silent. And what had happened was, I forgot exactly what day it was, but it was in July, so a year ago from today, a year before around this time today, where you can actually withdraw the ballot measure. And he called me the Friday before the Monday where you get recall the ballot measure. And he says, Albert, do you really want this? I said, of course we do. I want to have a town hall. I would like you to withdraw the ballot measure, at least have a town hall, talk to all of us that care about it in our community, and then reintroduce something that we can all live with. And I would support you 100%. And he says, okay, I want to do it. And then Saturday, Sunday afternoon, I get a call from Joel. He says, I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead with the measure. I said, what happened? He goes, I made some phone calls, and I can't do it. And I know after that phone call that one of the people was Scott Wiener that pushed him, that gave him pressure. And we knew that at that point, that betrayal started that slippery slide where, we all think that this is, he says this is only one reason why we're letting him go. We want to recall him. But it is his behavior. It is him being sold out. Because now if you look at all the supporters, it's Jerry Stoppelman, the CEO of Yelp, Ron Conway, a big, what do they call it, angel venture capitalist, Chris Larson, who I mentioned earlier with cryptocurrency, and there's a couple other ones. I think there's about 6 people. You can see it in the SF Ethics. You can see who makes the contributions, but they're paying into his coffers for this war chest to fight his recall over $1 million now, from Prop K through the signature petition through now. And I tell you, this is what I've been doing with all my time. He really got me fired up.
We're here with Michael Sullivan, playwright.
That's okay.
And
Shut that off.
I like live performances. Nothing goes right and it's fun, right? That's why I love Saturday Night Live. So anyway, the thing was that because of those donations from people that come from not in our neighborhood, I feel like they're buying him. They're drawing his puppet strings and pushing him to run their agenda, really. Because why would you, think about it. I love your neighborhood. I go to Haight Street. I've gone up. Like I said, I was born and raised here. I love the Haight Street fairs. I come here to eat lunch and dinner and stuff. I love Robert's Hardware because hardware store guys stick together. But what if someone tried to buy your neighborhood and buy? Yeah, right. And there's more of this to come. And it's not affordable housing they're advocating for. It's market rate housing. And we have enough of that. And a lot of it nobody can afford. For a good example in my district is the Westerly condos that are right at, if you go to El Terraville and you ride all the way to the end, right where El Terraville turns around, there's a brand new, well, not brand new anymore, it's like 4-story condo plus a huge retail space down below, big enough for a supermarket. It's been built, it's been up for 10 years. They've never had an anchor business go in there. I think half the condos are sold. And that was market rate. And it's not moving. And then, of course, the preposterous idea of building a 22-story thing at the Sloat Gardens, which everyone, of course, shot down. Because I think, again, one of my biggest questions was that, where's all the sewage going to go? Where's all that infrastructure that's going to support a 22-story building? Where
all the roads right now, probably for UCSF, the big new development.
Right, but over there at least we have some precedence of tall buildings because it's an institution there. But it'd be like this, like flat 2-3 level buildings throughout the Sunset, and all of a sudden you have this monstrous building coming up that nobody's going to buy at market rate. We have high interest rates now, and again, people are struggling. Families come out to the Sunset because they want single-family homes, or at least low density, because what we have there is kids. We have families that are start families there and raise their kids. They have good schools there. There's parks. We're blessed with parks. We weren't asking for another park. What we're looking for was a way to get around the city, and that was the importance of the Great Highway. And for them to close it down for the few and ignore the many, I thought was incredibly unfair and undemocratic and not worthy for someone to hold the supervisorship and make decisions for our community. And that's why I had to do what I had to do to champion recalling our supervisor. So, any questions from anybody? Right now, I'm working on recalling our supervisor. I heard Supervisor Connie Chen in District 1, which is the Richmond, she wants to introduce a bill, should the recall be successful, to reestablish the Great Highway as it was before. Here's the thing. I feel like, a lot of supervisors, and indeed a lot of people that voted on Proposition K, that were not in our district, because, we know kind of what that Great Highway means to us, because we use it all the time. But I think the people in the north part of the city, the east part of the city, the middle of the city, they thought the way the ballot measure was written, close down a road, create a recreational space, closing the Great Highway. They probably thought they were doing us a favor. I bet you, because the way it was written, it sounded like a nice thing. Why wouldn't you want to park? But I think we were mentioned earlier, we have Harding Park, we have the zoo, we have Stern Grove, and we have this world famous thing called Golden Gate Park right next to us, and we have the beach. I heard that Dorsey, who was one of the endorsers of that bill, was hoping that it would get taken down by Joel Elgardio, and then also Raphael Mandelman. I don't think Melgar was gonna withdraw her support, and that's what I heard. So I can't say that for sure, but that's what I heard. I know Connie Chan was definitely against it, because if you look at the Richmond from a map, bird's eye view, they're already, cut off to the north by Presidio, to the south by Golden Gate Park, and now to the west by Great Highway. The only way out really is going east, like going downtown, like taking Geary Boulevard, going downtown.
Albert, you forgot to mention the great weather at the upper Great Highway. Some
It
days
is
I
great
go out
weather. We
there,
have our own natural
and
AC.
And the sand is blowing in my face, and I go back, I get defeated.
I will tell you that on the good days, it's a lovely place to be, those good days. But right now we're having a really good Mark Twain summer, aren't we? And I want to tell you that, it varies. Like some days you'll see a few people riding bikes on that road, and some days you'll really see several hundred, even 1,000 people riding bicycles and having fun on that road. But no matter what the weather is, day in, day out, there's 17,000 people that need to get to work. They need to take their parents to the doctor, take their kids to school. God forbid, I have 2 kids. I have one that's in nursery and one that's in first grade right now. When I get 2 of them in 2 campuses, and they got early start times, I'm going to be running all over the place. And public transit sometimes just falls short. I'm not saying that cars aren't the enemy, bikes aren't the enemy, walking's not the enemy, public transit's not the enemy. They're all valuable in the ways that get around town. If you just have an A to B commute every day, maybe public transit works really well, But sometimes when you have multiple tasks, as a small business person, I have multiple tasks. I can't, riding a bike or taking the bus, for the most part, doesn't work for me. But like I say, if I'm going downtown, I'm going to City Hall, because I have to give my 2 minutes. I do take the bus, because it doesn't, it's a lot bigger hassle to take a car down there. And I have the Alterville, it's really quick. So, it's a multifaceted argument here. There's a few of us that if he were recalled, then Mayor Lurie were to appoint. I've been asked, I'm just full disclosure, and if they do, I would say yes.